Warning: this show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewers' discretion is advised. This show may contain strong language and sensitive or controversial topics. We are not attorneys and are not providing legal advice. The views and conversations are our own thoughts and feelings, and therefore, purely speculation.
The entertainment world and beyond.
Skywalker, air miles, feeding on a surface, gliding on water, constricted and conflicted.
Welcome to Purely Speculation, a show that exposes the harmful effects of the criminal legal system. I'm your host, Heather Lewis, the Executive Director of the Reuniting Family Bail Fund and practitioner of participatory defense. On this show, you'll learn about the unspoken horrors of the criminal justice system and meet fierce allies and advocates. We will make the best of our traumatic experiences. We will get angry. We may even cry. We most certainly going to laugh, but one thing's for sure, we're going to keep it real. Welcome to Purely Speculation.
When they free my sins and let them loose, they was killing me, I got scars to prove, got me paralyzed, I could even barely move. Out the way I took the pain again.
Hey, y'all. Welcome. Season 3, volume 29. Imagine that. We have been holding it down all year, and we're still going to hold it down for our people that are navigating the criminal legal system. Is Taria hiding in the background somewhere? Or we got popped off? Oh, she's there. We're going to dive into the evolution of the criminal legal system, at least here in Montgomery County, how they do it here, and the disparities in timelines and sentencing, in bail assignments, how much cash bail folks are getting assigned, based on the judge or the jurisdiction, the police department, the relationship that they have between the judge and the police, since they kind of deal with each other on a regular basis, that they kind of fall into these patterns and comfortabilities that make their job easier, not necessarily achieving justice or fairness or even common sense justice and compassion and all those things when people are just kind of mechanically doing their job. Taria?
Yes, I can see you. Can you see me?
Oh no, we can't. Yeah, your light went out.
Yeah,
that's why I was like, I can see your name tag for your name, but I couldn't see. Yeah, you're in the dark. This is the Halloween episode, y'all. Yo, I can't wait till we get the blooper rolls with you together. This shit is hilarious. Hilarious. But we gonna get it. Regardless, we get the job done, right? We get the job done. So tell me, this is all good. We see you now. Tell me what you've seen or the conversation that you had with the judge. I don't know if you remember the judge's name, but you had a good conversation. So being a regular on the arraignment hearings, you've gotten, to have some conversations with some judges, getting their feedback, kind of seeing, what their feelings are, having been on the bench for, maybe 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, or 40 years with this particular judge, how things have evolved and kind of where the industry, so to speak, has gone and how it, addresses 21st century crimes and, the environment, the change in our demographics, the change with our administration, all that stuff. So you want to share with us the conversation you had with that judge?
Yes. So the judge that I had the conversation with, all I know is that he's a judge out of, I want to say Norberg. I might be saying it wrong. Norberg, PA. He's a so it's 3 judges in there. It's Judge Quinn, Judge Zucker, and him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's on the edge of City Line Avenue and Country Highway Road, he said. State Road.
Right.
And he's definitely how the conversation came about is this is the second time I met him. He was the on-call judge for the preliminary arraignments. And last month, when he was a preliminary judge, I really took to him because of his compassion that he had for defendants. And I said to him afterwards that has he ever seen the Netflix series Your Honor? And he said no, he never heard of it. And I said to him that he reminds me a lot of that judge on Your Honor, because even despite what that judge had to go through with his son in the end, and lose his self, and lose his him, took him off the bench and everything like that, he was a judge of compassion before that happened. And he really, really, really did well when it came to understanding both situations. And he gave me that kind of outlook. And last night, he was the on-call judge again. And this time I got to have a conversation with him a little bit in depth, because he wanted to know about what is Court Watch about. So I explained to him the different organizations that we deal with, Montgomery County Participatory Defense, and he knew about that one. He knew about Care Bradford being being one that kind of introduced it and how the program started. And then he understood Montgomery County Family Reuniting Bail Fund, and he knew that also. So he was aware, and he said he liked it, both programs. He was really impressed by both organizations, and he basically, had came about to say, what do we do with the Court Watch? The data, how does it come about? And I was explaining to him how we used to actually be in person. I used to be in person with you and a few other colleagues since 2020. And I told him that I've been online now since I got a little bit sick last October. So I've been doing the online Zoom hearings. And I was telling him how I'm on every day, Monday through Sunday, and at 9:30, 2:30, and 7:30. And then I'm on at 1 o'clock for the bail reviews. And I told him that it was very interesting to see, because I get to see, because he said there's 67 counties here in Montgomery County. Mm-hmm. And he was telling me that it's 29 MDJs, judges. And he used to be a prosecutor before he became a judge. He also was telling me that before, to be a judge, you had to go to law school. And now cops and just everyday civilian people are becoming judges with no kind of law background.
So at one point you did have to be an attorney to be an MDJ.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And he also was explaining to me that some of the judges don't know each other. Like, all of them don't know each other. Like, he knows his judges because it's like a trio.
Right. They're in the same building.
Because I didn't know they were in the same building until I was saying that I was saddened, because Judge Quinn is a judge that I like too. He's very compassionate. And I did not know that he was in the building with him until I said that yesterday, because I felt bad that the two women that got prosecuted for stealing from his the court was his officer manager and another co-worker. And that's how that came about. And he said he works in the same building.
I posted bail down there a couple of times. So when I saw the women, I was like, oh, snap. Like, I know her. Like, what the heck? Like, come on, sis. Like, I understand times, can get rough. And I mean, we never know why people do what they do and what they're going through, and, desperation and whatever. But, it's just hard, when it's people that actually work in the system and they know how hard it is and how grimy and traumatic and oppressive it is to, find themselves caught up in it. it was sad. I was sad, but yeah, Judge Quinn is a good dude.
Yes, very, very good person.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got on the topic of, he was explaining to me that he was on the bench for 40 years and he's close to retirement. So he's 73 years old. So he'll be soon. He said they'll be kicking him out because at 75, usually they kick the judges out.
Right.
And he was telling me
75.
And that's what I said to him. And he
Is
was
the ball
and he was telling me that one of the best judges that he thought that came through Montgomery County that he always will inspire is Horace Davenport.
Okay.
And he said he was a very, very good judge. And I said, yes, Mr. Horace was good. And I was telling him that he said the last time he had seen Mr. Horace is when he swore in Gregory Scott for judge.
Oh, okay.
So then he was also telling me that the second youngest judge that under Gregory Scott was Judge Skursky. And he's the second youngest judge here in Montgomery County. Here in
I think he's in Jenkintown.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And he was telling me that back in the day that arraignments, before judges used to arraign, they used to be on for a whole week. Now they do just one night a month on call. And he was telling me that a lot of judges are not happy with, and the police departments are not too happy and fond with the pretrial services and the way it goes now. But he said he really likes the program because before, when he was defending, he was when he was arraigning before, defendants, they didn't have no defense. It would just be the police, the defendant, and the judge. So a lot of times the judge would be the advocate for the defendant because the cops and the prosecutor already had it already in the bag that they was going to get this person almost like a death penalty.
Right.
And like basically guilty before even, being prosecuted. So he's kind of glad that now with the pretrial services, they have a public defender right there at the beginning stages. And it seems a little bit more fair now. But some people still look at it like these people, they still want to give crazy, obsessive bails.
Right.
And their job is only to give bail for 3 reasons. They're supposed to make sure that the safety of the community is met, the person can financially afford it, and then look at their background history. And it's more of failures to appear, not too much of the crime that they committed before, because people have done their time for a crime and they can change.
Right.
But before, some police officers were literally, basically look at this person and say that they went in and they did a retail theft, and it was like 6 more retail thefts in another place. They would just try to put all 6 retail thefts on a person.
Right.
But you can't do that anymore. So it just like he just was just basically saying that it changed from 40 years to now. Things have changed.
Yeah, that's a long time on the bench. I'm gonna figure out who that is and reach out to them and see, try to pick their brain a little more and get some more insight, and especially if they're allies of the movement of where we're really just trying to make sure that fairness and justice prevail. We're not trying to, get criminals off or anything like that, because I was just responding to another Facebook post when they're talking about ICE and they're arresting criminals. Like, what's wrong with that? And I'm like, but they're not arresting criminals. Like, ICE is operating illegally, and people are just okay with that. And they just want to hide behind that these are criminals. And like, just because you say they're a criminal doesn't mean they are. You know what I'm saying? We could say whatever, and people just blindly believe that and just blindly go along with it. And so I love the fact that, our organization exists, that we're court watching, and we're, teaching people and equipping, the community to exercise their right to observe public court hearings, and also see the system and how it actually works. When they actually see how the police talk to the judge and tell them, oh, I want you to do this, that, and the third, right? That's not the cop's job. The cop's job is to tell them what happened. They're not supposed to make bail suggestions. It's not their job. You know what I mean? It's the DA can request whatever they want, but ultimately it's the judge to decide what type of bail based on those factors that you mentioned, a couple of others, whether they're a flight risk and all, like you said, failure to appears, and that's that. But when you actually observe the proceedings and how they are actually done, not necessarily according to the book or according to the law or procedural, they're doing whatever they want to do. And so I challenge everyone that says, oh, they're just locking up criminals. Watch a day's worth of preliminary arraignments and you see who the criminals are. So you see who's breaking the law so that they can make these other people look like criminals. They're justifying their illegal behavior by pinning illegal, using different words to describe, the defendants. And it's like, that's not cool. And it's not right that they do that. I want to go back to the pretrial, because we get mixed opinions about pretrial services, right? I have a mixed opinion about it. I think a lot of the changes could have happened without a staff of 10. I'm sure their budget is probably close to $1 million, because you've got, 2 executives, you got a director and a deputy, and then you got, 8 or so staff people that are monitoring, right? Because what do? They listen to the arraignment and they make a recommendation on bail. So they do that every day. Then there are another level of supervision. So we've got pretrial services and you've got probation and parole that are providing supervision for folks, whether they're inside, when they're post-conviction, like serving their probation, or they're on pretrial supervision, right? So now we got 2 types of supervision. You've got the making recommendations for bail. The public defender's office, how they do it now, I guess with it being on Zoom, is the only way that it could have been done, by having an attorney at every arraignment, right? As they should. I 100% agree with that. And if it being via Zoom was the only way to achieve it, then they've achieved it. But again, here we have, that doesn't require pretrial services. And so I have mixed feelings. When I talk to some of the public defenders, they happen to like pretrial. I think you have shared too that like the judge doesn't always go with what pretrial recommends. Probably more often than not, they don't go with what pretrial recommends. So it's like, okay, you're not. So is that because they don't like pretrial being involved, or are they still just wanting to maintain their control and do things their way? So there's a lot of things that, change is difficult, but like evaluating it has its pros and cons. You know what I mean? I appreciate them that they are accessible and they will respond to you. They'll respond to me and give us answers to our questions about our loved ones that are on the inside. And that way we can help families better navigate. So I appreciate that. So yeah, I'm just, still on the fence with, the efficiency and the productivity of pretrial services.
Now I'm going to come back and do a little devil's advocate when it comes to pretrial services. And I have a different outlook than you do with pretrial services, as just being on there every day and watching them on court every day. Pretrial services to me is I want to say, the weakest link to the county correctional facility and the in-between man. And they get no respect. They get very disrespected by ADA. I haven't really seen the PDs kind of come at them like that, but I have seen them get talked to like they were nothing. And some of them judges that talk to them that way is, under my understanding, they don't care for it. They have a lot of criticism when it comes to them.
Right.
That they do, and they're only trying to do a job that they can, they only can only do what you're given. And sometimes they're not given certain things,
Right.
And they don't know everything. So at the end of the day, they have to, just go with what they're working with. Now I see that they did just hire a new chief of duty for the pretrials. So she's been on the Zoom these last couple of days. I guess trying to see how it's flowing and going, but they get beat up always, all avenues. I had a loved one work for pretrials and they couldn't stand it and they quit. They said it was like abuse, and it was like it wasn't worth it, and they don't get paid a lot, and it's not worth it because they're just the middle to the situation. I mean, they got an officer in front of their names, but they don't get the respect like they should.
Right. No, I believe that. And it's unfortunate because, they were put in place, like you said, to be that middleman and kind of make sure that kind of everybody's staying in their respective lanes. And, like I said, it's unfortunate. And I've heard positive things from the PDs. Like they happen to appreciate it, but they also said, yeah, pretty much what you said. They don't get respected. They don't, the recommendations that they make, the judges ignore most of the time. And, it's still kind of status quo, business as usual with some of the judges that are stuck in their ways, that don't want to be held accountable. And, really change the system, recognizing that it's flawed and how it just evolved. You know what I mean? And it evolved in a way that, serves them, not the community. And we remind folks all the time, these are elected officials. So if they are not behaving in a way that reflects your beliefs, especially in your township, municipality, or borough, you can vote them out. They are on a 6th term.
I was going to say something real fast before I had lost my train of thought. So I was also told that another gift and curse of the pretrial services for defendants is when you have these big time lawyers coming to preliminary arraignments, and some judges go with a better deal with the private attorneys for a defendant than they do for a public defender person. And that's unfair and unjust also.
Sure.
I tell you one thing, and I'm not going to lie, the judge had asked the other day, he had asked what's going on with the public defender's office. Are they like in a rotation thing? Because usually Aaron Kostick and Bree Halfon are the two pre-trial preliminary arraignment people. And they are, let me tell you something, they are definitely very good at their job. Yes. And I'm not going to lie, I have to second the judge is asking what's going on with the PD's office, because they were away on vacation. And I guess we kind of can contest to this. It's like when two bullhead people or two stronghold people are not present, it's like the whole walls crush in. Right. And they had a rotation for the last 2 weeks of them being away with just different PDs, and the way that they were defending these defendants was horrible. And
I think that would be good feedback for
Christine. Newcomers.
Yeah.
And I was feeling sorry for the defendants last 2 weeks, because it was not good representation.
Right.
And it's sad that you can't even take off for,
right. Yeah, your own self-care.
To be able to have somebody take on your job and do your job to the best of the ability. And it's like, basically all I can say is that Commonwealth had their way for the last 2 weeks.
Right. Well, hopefully they're back. But,
they are.
Yeah. I think that would be really good feedback for Christine, the chief, and that they, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we want to take, Bree and Aaron off, but other folks need to be versed in doing preliminary arraignments so that, there is backup. So maybe do they alternate, weeks so that other PDs can get strong in that, so that never happens again. So that
my understanding is that they volunteer. So my understanding is they volunteer to do the preliminary arraignments because some people run from them, and they volunteer to do them, and they get some kind of compensation. So I guess they get like a half a comp day off or something like that for doing a preliminary arraignment. But my whole thing is that it's sad when you hear PDs say they don't even know other PDs. They don't even know each other.
Right.
That's not good. You know what I'm saying? Because how don't you know who you work with? And like I said, it's the same three for the APA. It's John Gradle, it's Megan, and it's Carney and Alice. They summarily have some. I think they might have had somebody different one time that out of them three, but it's usually them three if anybody. So like I said, yes, it's like you said, it has to grow. It still has to grow.
Yeah. I mean, definitely, because I think it's a little less than 5 years. I know it was getting started during COVID. So it might be 5 years old, maybe 4.
I want to say about 4 because because
I think it's like
2020, probably like 2021. Yep, going into 2022, 2021. Because remember we went back in person in 2020. That was our first homicide trial. You remember that was the first one, and that was when we went in with masks, and they had all the bars up, like where for the jury,
right?
Everything like you said. So I hear a couple of DJs are tired. They're gonna probably get DJs soon. So I heard that possibly Gallagher retiring from Bridgeport, and I'm hearing that it might not be a Bridgeport. I don't know how true that is though.
You were breaking up. I couldn't hear anything.
I know Birdie told me that Judge Gallagher is possibly retiring soon.
Oh, okay.
And Bridgeport is going to do away with their district court. I don't know how true that is.
Oh.
If they do away with the district court, everybody's going to go to Judge Kraut.
Is that KOP? Oh, did we lose her? I think Judge Krause is in King of Prussia. That's an interesting thing to give up their district court. But I don't know if that's a Bridgeport decision or if that's a Montgomery County commissioner's decision to do away with that court. There you go.
So that, like I said, I don't know how true that is. I was just, told that. But I do want to say something something bothered me that I had just found out myself about a local judge here in Norristown. I feel as though she didn't get treated fairly. She was getting threatened from a decision that she made, and Norristown police did not protect her. She had to really get protected from the sheriff's department, and that's not fair. You know what I mean? That's not fair at all. And
nope.
I don't care your on everybody treated fairly across the board, especially someone of higher power. And the decision that she made was no different than a decision that any other judge makes
Right.
on their own behalf. She made a decision off of the information that was given to her. She wasn't a trial judge. She wasn't a preliminary. She just was the arraignment to give bail. She discovery or thing of nature, she would have made a different decision. But she
Right.
only went by the affidavit of what she's seen, and she made that decision of a high unsecured bail. But for a
Right.
chief to go onto Facebook and call her out and have the whole back into her, right, and he's not being represented is beyond.
Right. And not to mention not just the threats on her life, but the racial slurs that were, the racist comments and all of that came after that. It's one thing to call her out on her decision as a judge, but now you're attacking her as a person, as a woman of color, you know what I mean, as a community member, a resident of Norristown, that our own police department didn't or wouldn't protect her, that we had to rely on our sheriff's department to do that. It's beyond sad and sickening. And I mean, charges need to be filed against those that made those threats and all of those comments. You know what I mean? And I'm not sure if any of that happened either, and again, and for the same reasons that you listed about why they assign cash bail, she used the same matrix to decide based on what she was shown and what was shared in the arraignment. She made her decision based on the information that was given her, not what was out in the public. And so, no, I agree with you 100%. And, we still need to follow up as a community, when, again, we're going through, trying to choose a new police chief for Norristown. And if we are not, as a people, going to our elected officials, that is where our power lies. Scotty's not here, so we're going to do this in his honor because he's always talking about voting. And this is why it's so important to vote in our local elections. The MDJs, magisterial district judges, those are the ones that reside or preside over your community. The laws, the things that you get arrested, whatever's going on in your community, those are the judges that will rule for, against, or however. Those are the people that you elected. So if the people aren't serving the community how they should, they need to be voted out. You know what I'm saying? Your county, your council people, our commissioners, they're all elected. All those row offices that run the clerk of courts, that run the wills department and all of those things, pathonetary and orphans court and all those things, they're all elected officials. So they work for us. And so we need to stop acting like there's nothing we can do. There's absolutely something you can do. And that's to meet them at the polls. Do your due diligence. Stop acting like this stuff doesn't affect you when it does. It is so, so important to register to vote. We were talking about that. Oh gosh, I forget what roundtable we were part of. And I was in Newark, New Jersey. Newark, New Jersey. Did this. The judges are all appointed in New Jersey. There's no judicial election for MDJs, Court of Common Pleas, none of that. They're all appointed by the governor. So imagine that. Imagine the transparency. Imagine the, nepotism that happens. I don't know if you have to be an attorney to be a judge in New Jersey, but, it's not an elected position. So they're not doing, right by the community. How do you get them out? So now you got to vote the governor out? Because he's the one that appoints all the judges. You know what I mean? Like this stuff. So when we're in different states and you see how the laws are different and how, it's set up, their governance is set up, like that's a what the fuck moment for me. So y'all got it in advance. They're not elected. They are appointed by the governor. And so at least we have some power. We have some control here in Pennsylvania that all of our MDJs are elected. Court of Common Pleas are elected. So that's my soapbox for Mr. Scott in his absence. So with that being said, and the judges and how they rule and make decisions, we've also seen the disparity. So you mentioned the young ladies that worked in Judge Quinn's office, and do you recall what I know it was theft and probably theft by unlawful taking, something to that effect. Do you recall their sentence?
Yes, I believe that I believe that they were given, I want to say, don't quote me, but I think one was given 6 months. 6 months in the county correctional facility, and the other one was given either 4 to 6 months, one of them, and I believe that's the manager, the one that did it, and then I think she has to do some house arrest, and then about 3 years. I know they both got 4 years under supervision.
Okay.
The second lady only has to do, I think, 16 days, or I know she's doing every weekend.
Okay.
But they both got about 3 years of supervision. So I know that it was not it was a slap on the wrist, and they have, and from my understanding, they have to together pay the $7,500 back. But from what I read in the article the other day, one of the ladies already paid $6,500 to the restitution. So I think it's only like $1,000 left for them to pay back to the courts together.
Right.
And both of them had private attorneys, and they had
Go ahead.
Trial.
Say again.
That was trial.
That went to trial?
I know. Well, that was speedy. Like it's like the whole situation was wrapped up real quick.
Oh, right. Yeah, I just remember seeing, you know what I mean, the news, the story, and saying like, I recognize this lady, and then it coming back around again with them being sentenced, just like last week or what. Yeah.
Yeah, in front of Judge Rothstein.
Yeah, I mean, it's a slap on the wrist, but as practitioners of participatory defense, we certainly want everybody to get the best outcome, right? And so we would have advocated for the best outcome for them if they came to us and wanted support and all that. So, I mean, if it's, you know, we can speculate and all that, like the why and coulda, shoulda, wouldas and all that kind of stuff. But ultimately, you know, we would want the best outcome for our loved one as well. So I'm happy that, you know, it is what it is. And, you know, that they have learned their lesson, and, you know, in that big age, they don't be doing that shit. Like, we passed that. we ain't doing that no more. But, the other thing that we're crazy about, talking about the disparities in sentencing and things like that. So this recently, 2 police officers, the police officer that killed Eddie is Zerari out of Philadelphia. I could be getting them mixed up. One of them got 33 months. I think it was the police officer that killed Breonna Taylor. He got 33 months. And the police officer that murdered Eddie Zerari out of Philadelphia was paroled immediately. Once he was sentenced, because he was on the inside, like they revoked his bail and everything. Once he was sentenced, they paroled him immediately. So imagine that.
That's because he had a big dog. Yeah, Brian McGonigal. So that, you know what I mean? That was very, very well said. And you know the funny thing is, I know last night I said to you guys, I said, Kier, you know, it's funny, we talked about Kier earlier yesterday, me and the judge, and she was on last night for a preliminary arraignment. That's the first time I've seen her on ever.
Right, say somebody.
I'm not gonna lie, it gave the what I said about public defender and a big time attorney, because the charges that the young man that she was representing last night he got an unsecured bail, And I don't believe he would have probably, with a PD, he probably would have got $150,000 cash bail.
Right.
So it does make a difference with who was present on. Because yesterday, I seen about 4 private attorneys on yesterday, and all their clients left with unsecured bail.
See, and that's crazy because it shouldn't. It should not depend on who's representing you. Like that's just not right. And that's where, you know what I mean, it's the pay to play. Like what did the big dog attorney say that would have been any different? Like, how is the defense strategy any different? I mean, yeah, you got smart attorneys and not so smart attorneys. You got strong attorneys that'll fight and push, and you got not so strong attorneys. You know what I'm saying? So I get that point about how well they can practice law and advocate and fight for their client. I get that there's differences in that, but like what happened is what happened. And so it's really about who can tell the better story, who knows who, you know what I mean? It's not, and that's when people are playing with this system, like, what? Stop. You have no control over how the outcome comes out if you're really relying on it to be by the book. It's not by the book. It's who you know, what judge you get, what attorney you get, you know what I mean? All this stuff, it's all those things that come into play. It's not about the likelihood that you committed the crime, the evidence against you. It's none of that. It's who is represented, who's in the ring.
Yes.
That's all it is.
And I think, to answer your question, I believe that the big time private attorneys have the private meetings with the other side. And I was always told, and I was told this a couple years ago, and I think you kind of is going to know when I lay this down to you what I'm talking about. I was told this about 3 years ago. Correct me if I'm wrong. That, and this was a case when a lawyer took on a hard situation as an attorney. He went. And he believed in a situation that other lawyers would not even touch.
Right.
And a lawyer told me that he would never get the respect again of the other side because it's called one hand washes the other. So it's like, you give me one, I give you two. Or you give me two, I give you one. And that's how it goes. So that's where it goes to the saying where they're in the bed together. And we never want to think that. But that's reality. Like, basically, I gave you this, so you give me that. So it's like, that's how they play the ball. It's a chess game. It's like, you king me one later. And I king you later.
Right. Yeah. It doesn't matter. That's what I'm saying. That shit's fucked up. Like, that's so wrong, like, to do that, because it's not based on any merit, any evidence, anything. Like, you could be innocent as the day is long, but they're gonna manipulate the situation to give you the shittiest attorney, to make sure they give you the most harsh judge that doesn't, approve any motions. Like, they know who they can call. They could pick their lineup. That's what people don't understand. They think, oh, I'm just going to rumble with the judge. No, well, like in serious cases, like, fuck no, you're not. They're picking the judge. They're picking who you're going to get as a defense attorney if you got to go that route. If you don't got the money, they'll make sure they picking out who you're going to get to make sure that thing works the way it's supposed to work for them. It never works for us. It is not designed to work for us. So when we're blessed because we're there pushing and we're exposing, like, hey, we're ringing the bell over here because y'all doing some fucked up shit. That's how we get those best outcomes. You know what I'm saying? It's not because they want to do it. It's because, oh, we're looking. You better, because we're about to call you the fuck out. And that shit happens every day. I was just talking with Yulia earlier today about, because she's been doing some court watching. She's been watching episodes of the podcast, and she's just like, she loves what we've been doing, on the podcast and everything. And she, just is, I told her, I struggle to watch preliminary hearings, arraignments. I cannot. My stomach, my spirit can't take it. You see how I'm getting now. Like that shit pisses me off to watch how they just manipulate and maneuver. It's not about the system. It's not about the evidence. You know what I mean? And it's such a low bar at the arraignment and the preliminary hearing. We understand that. But so why y'all doing all this posturing then? If the bar is so low, say what you need to say and keep it moving. Stop, you know what I mean? Like, why are you burying people? You know, like it's just what they do is so inhumane. It's so cruel. It's so violent. And they don't bat a fucking eye at how they treat people. I mean, most vulnerable people, you see people all day, every day. Half the people aren't even competent, or if they're coming off a binge, you know what I mean, the night before, and they can't even keep their head up. And yet they're expected to understand what's happening. Like all this stuff is happening right before our eyes. And it's because me and you, and we look like how we look like, they're less likely or they're slow to want to believe what we're saying. Okay, well, wait till I look like you. Why don't you sit your ass in there and see? I challenge anybody, exercise your Sixth Amendment right. Get your ass on a Zoom call and watch these preliminary arraignments and see how it's being done. They don't want us to do that because then they know. Because at full exposure, like you said, they're not even reading the charges off on the arraignment hearings now. You don't hear anything. They don't even know. They're supposed to know what they're being charged with. How are they supposed to know? Oh, because you're having side conversations? Like all the shit that they're doing? It's crazy. And they can get away with it because nobody's looking. Oh, that's just the bail fund. They're angry, they're this, they're that. No, y'all are foul. Sorry, I digress.
No, I agree with you 100% because I did address the situation though. I wanted to hear from a judge about because I told them what we don't like about some things that some of them decisions that they make on court, and I brought up about having the defendants behind the bars in Cheltenham.
Right, Cheltenham still doing that?
Yes, to certain extent of certain judges allow it to happen.
We lost your light.
Yep. Yes. They do it to depend on what judge is on.
That's crazy.
But from my understanding, when I spoke to a judge the other day, because I had called about who do you complain about a district judge to another, who is the person you go to complain to a district judge? And I was told that no judge can recommend another judge, that you have to go to the bar association.
Mm-hmm.
And that's who you complain about a person on the bench.
On the bench, you go to the bar association.
Yeah, you have to go to the law review board.
Okay.
To complain, because you got judges out here, pretty much judges ballot, and they're not supposed to do that. Like, not supposed to, like.
Oh, we're
And
losing you.
And like you said,
you're on mute, hon.
Sorry, court came on. We was kind of like on a delay. But yeah, they sometimes, some judges like how they were coming at that unsecure bail that Judge Ash did. Mm-hmm. That's not their place to do. That's not their place to do, because she didn't come at you about a hearing, a judgment that you did on a $10,000 bill for a teacher touching a child.
Right.
So you can't.
Yeah, nobody came at that.
And like I said, sometimes I feel like, and I did speak on this, that I feel as though sometimes when the African American judges are on, I feel as though the ADA's office will try to get them to do the higher bails, like the $1 million and $500,000. Mm-hmm. And I just don't like that, because I have seen and watched cases that have been worse where they didn't do that to other judges of non-color. And I just say, don't treat them like the totem pole. That's all I'm saying.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of work to. Go ahead.
Yes, it does. No, yes, it does. So I was told that. So I spoke upon this on our last podcast about showing our faces on the Zooms,
right?
And how they were upset about that, and that it's like you said, it's a public space. So I was told that they went down to the common courts of pleas about it, and I was told that they said that they can't make nobody show their face. It's no law that says that. So it can't. You really don't even have to know who's behind the screen.
Right.
Like, and that's why when we were on yesterday, a judge said to me and another court observer, like, I really don't have to know who you guys are. I just know y'all are court observers. That's all that matters.
Right. And even if I wasn't a court observer, if I'm a community member, I don't have to necessarily be affiliated with the Court Watch program. They should be able to come on and observe. Like you can't. This is what they say. Oh, it could be a victim. It could be like if the victim wanted to come to court, they can. Like their reasoning is ridiculous. It's unfounded. It's not based on anything. It's a public space. So how do they think they're protecting anybody on Zoom from the arraignment? The person that's being arraigned is either at MCCF or at a police station. So it's not like anybody has access to these individuals at all. Like it just doesn't make any sense. Like they're just complaining to be complaining, just like with banning these books. One person complained, now you got a book ban. Like, okay, we can't please everybody, but what they're doing is violating our civil rights. And so, no, you don't have to join. You don't have to come on. Like, you don't have to read that book. You don't have to participate. Just like on social media, if you don't like what their video, keep scrolling. Like, why are people so compelled to like impose their rights, or not their rights, their beliefs or opinions on other people? You know what I mean? The things are set in place. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, you don't have to participate, but they just making my blood boil tonight. I don't know why.
It was, like you said, so I was, because I'm always curious, George, and it came back around the same, judges come back around every month. Right. And this time it wasn't an issue. So, me, I asked a little, there's some judges that's scared to speak up, that don't want to talk to you. And there's some that don't, ain't scared to talk to you. So I want to know what changed the situation. And I'm like, this just like when I ask the question of one judge, it gets down to another judge. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it was told that they did try to take it down to common court of pleas. And I think it was the situation when I got kicked out, kicked off. And I'm like, I don't have no problem with showing my face, but I'm not going to take my screen protector down. Right. And I said to the one judge, what about our safety? Because 25 or 50% of people on these preliminary arraignments, I know. So, I'm staring at you right now. We're on a podcast and we're both showing our face, but I don't want to stare at somebody that's getting in trouble and see me completely. Not saying that they don't know who I am behind my picture, but the judge told me yesterday I don't even have to have my picture. I can have whatever background I want to have. Right. Yeah. On there. So at the end of the day, we I don't want to, it's safety things. Also, so that's all I'm saying to her, that we kind of don't, we kind of want to be protected also.
And you see how being present and being equipped to make those phone calls and the pushback that we got, to a healthy space, or, hey, now we know We don't have to have our cameras on, and we don't have to take our screensavers down and stuff like that. Like, there's no law that says that. So, rock on. But that's how we make change. You know what I'm saying? And you're one person. You have us with you, but you've been holding it down in that space for a really long time. And so they know. And it's like, okay, don't stop playing with us. Stop playing. So, okay. So let's get into the WTF moment, and then we're gonna wrap it up.
Okay.
It's daylight out. So I done shared my what the fuck moment. The judges in New Jersey are appointed by their governor. That is crazy bananas to me. So yeah, what the fuck, Jersey? That's going to be a campaign for them. So we'll be looking to see New Jersey at one of these trainings or something to see how do they get that changed? How do they, imagine some type of legislation to take that power from the governor and put it in the people's hands. And what you got for me? What happened this week or last week?
Whew.
Oh, damn. Don't make me say the word now.
Right. What's the word?
Don't make you say fuck now. I know you like to be nice. Me, I'm like, oh look, we going there. So is that bad?
I just say, when are we going to get it? I always say this, get it right, and it's not even just us getting it right. Because the people that it's scary because the people that are trying to reprimand us can't even get it right. So the top has to get right before the bottom can get right. And everybody, like you said, everybody got to come to the round table. And we see that right now with this whole thing with Norristown, the police chief thing. It's ugly.
Right.
It's ugly. And people don't care. Because numbers don't lie.
Right.
And it was sad. It was saddening to see 50 people in a space for a position that is serious in the morning session and 30 at night.
Right.
It was saddening. I don't know how many was online. Yeah, but I don't know how many was online. But people just don't care. But when something happens to their loved one, that's when they want to scream and holler. We don't got this and we ain't got that. So when are we going to learn to stop just talking and show up? Because numbers don't lie. People do.
You're right. You're right about that. And we do. We say it all the time. All the time we say you have to participate in your community. You're a community member. You know what I mean? You're living here and these things are happening to you and around you and you don't even know how or why. And so we're telling you, we're not sugarcoating it. We're not hiding it in a book. We're not, speaking a different language. We're speaking plain English. You better start showing up to these meetings. You better start exercising your right to vote. You better start being present in these spaces where they don't want us to be present. We need to start watching all of these systems that are doing whatever they want to do because they're unchecked. Raj, famous saying, injustices happen in empty courtrooms. They could do whatever they want to do because there's nobody watching. And so, go ahead.
I said, and that's right. And like you said, we got to just be eye-opening to everything. Because I saw somebody put something on Facebook the other day about the ICE here in Norristown. And the commissioners were saying one thing and come to find out that they were saying the article said something different where they are cooperating with ICE, where they tell you they're not cooperating with ICE, but that's not what's in black and white.
Exactly. So with that being said, the commissioners meetings are what, the second and fourth Tuesday or Thursday?
Thursdays
in the morning, 10 o'clock. I believe, and you can watch via Zoom. So please, if you're a Montgomery County resident, start watching and attending and participating and really holding these elected officials accountable. They're making $100,000 easy at that position, and they're not, They're lying to us. They're lying to our neighbors. They're allowing, ICE agents to come in with masks on, not identifying themselves, and disappearing people, kidnapping people. Kids are home without their parents. What are they supposed to do? And like I said, if they're illegal, where is the warrant? They were on top of the grocery store, like they was just gonna come out the ceilings. Like, are you serious? With like rifles, AKs or whatever they were, machine guns. Like, why are you on top of the grocery store like that? Like, people are just gonna start running out of the grocery store. What are you gonna do? Shoot them right there? You gonna start shooting people? That's what you would do? That would be the alternative if people just started running out of that store? Like, seriously, good job, West Norton. Good job, commissioners, for allowing that shit to happen. Like, that's our community. I shop with my kids and my grandkids at that store, as I'm sure many other people do with their kids. So imagine pulling up to the grocery store and you got this military presence on top of the building with military gear, rifles, whatever they're called, assault weapons. What were you going to do if people just started running out of that store? As you was prepared, it looked like you were prepared to mow them all down without a thought, without a care of who was there, who was, innocent bystanders and all that. It was going to go down like that. And they disappeared 14 people from that store. You mean to tell me that there were 14 people in there with criminal charges in there at one time? Yeah, okay. But I digress again. We're going to get out of here. So you missed it, Taria. We had Smoking Whiskey on Sunday. Oh, my gosh. It was such a vibe. I love Bonsi. I thank them so much. This was Best Kept Soul. They are the most amazing cover band. They had us jamming all night. DJ Swerve had us jamming. The whiskey, the cigars. It was such a vibe. It rained literally at 6 o'clock on the dot for like 15 minutes. But after that, it was a beautiful event. Everybody had a good time. We're going to be looking to do it probably in the fall again. And we want to shout out our event sponsors, the Public Defenders Association of Pennsylvania. They were our event sponsor in the law offices of Lori Jubileer, who was our raffle sponsor. Big ups to y'all. Go to our Facebook page and all that kind of stuff. We'll have a recap video thanking all of our sponsors, the Den of Thieves, Diggs Boys Whiskey, Garcier's, Martinez, I think it's Ruben. Yeah, I can't remember them all. But it was a really, really dope event. Lombrada food truck, Buddha's Grill food truck. Yo, the food was popping. I mean, it was a really, really good event. So hopefully we'll see y'all again. I forget who we had. Oh, we had Najee. Najee was our guest earlier this month as our guest show. So check him out. Daydream Studios for all your podcasting needs and open mic nights and stuff like that. And Taria, as always, I love you. I thank you. You are a true soldier in the movement. I love your commitment and dedication to being on, absorbing that energy every day. I know I can't do it. I will try to do better and hop on sometimes, but that is super triggering to me. And but yeah, it's still worth experiencing and sharing and telling the story. So I love you. I appreciate you. And hopefully we'll have Scotty back next time. Until then, peace out.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Purely Speculation. If you learned something, share something. Please like, follow, and share this show. The more our communities know, the more they are empowered and the faster we can create change. Purely Speculation would not be made possible without the generous support of the Community Justice Exchange, the Health Sparks Frank E. Boston Black Justice Fund, Philadelphia Foundation, and Reform Alliance. Thank you. Booyah.
Intuition different, already lived and dreamt it. Visions make my vision clear as I'm jogging through this fog of life. I beat, fog lights with the fox head, body and I'm all set. Baby, can you be my Cardi B on and offset? Toast we got it, self we build it, still materials.